Trust. Go ahead and stand for the pledge of
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Henry, would you call the roll?
President Evans. Director Ballard. Director Cummings. Here. Director Carr. Director Carr.
Here.
Director, I got another one here. Director. Director Novick.
Here.
Director Ballard. Here. Director Henry. Here. Director Sherman.
Here.
All nine present.
Let's try something new. Voting procedure will be reverse alphabetical with the president last. Go ahead and move into our public comment. Miss Cindy Dugan.
Hi. Under the Pennsylvania Rights and Gun Law, the Public School Code, and the Sunshine Act, the public is entitled to records supporting the district's financial decisions, school closures, construction spending, and any emergency exceptions used. I am requesting timely clarification and documentation regarding the Elizabeth Forward School District's financial health. This includes financial statements, budgets, audits, bond and construction expenditures, fund transfers, and any use of declared emergency exceptions that bypass standard procedures over the past 10 years, or as otherwise deemed necessary that extends further. This request also includes documentation supporting the decision to close 3 schools and to expand the fire restoration project into a new construction project, so these decisions can be independently reviewed by the public. I request the project plans, the timelines, the project budgets, and risk mitigation register of all construction projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Your address, Ms. Dookie? Put Howell plan?
Yes, I live up in the Howell plan.
All right, thank you.
I don't care to be doxxed, so
That's
that's
all
why I
right.
don't write my address.
I completely understand.
Thank you.
Mr. Ryan Heminger?
Ryan Heminger, 4 Colonial Drive. Members of the board, you all know me. I've served with most of you for many years. I'm an attorney. Just to be clear, when I left the board, I had no intention of coming back here. I have no desire to. But I feel compelled to be here because I'm concerned that you're making a very grave mistake. To be clear, the mistake I'm concerned about is not that you selected a solicitor. It makes no difference to me who your solicitor is, who you choose, why you choose them as your business. But it's one of the most important positions, aside from superintendent of schools, that you guys are going to make it. My concern is that this decision is being made in great haste, with a lot of potential unintended consequences of making this change. And I fear that the board's not considering all factors, or worse, is doing this for reasons unrelated to the legal positioning of the district. From my experience, well, let me come back to that. How do I know this is being done in haste? I know this because during the last 9 years that Solicitor Rushford, who's not here tonight for this important meeting to guide the process, has served us without any discussion at any meeting about ever moving him out, making a change. Not one time do I recall in 9 years since he was appointed during Mr. Evans' first term as president. So the question then is, why now? Why an emergency special meeting? Why no RFPs? Why in this way? And why only 2 candidates? Why is one of those candidates a firm that has disclosed to us that they do business with and work for CM Region? This brings me to my concern. You guys are in litigation. You filed a lawsuit in September against CM Region for multi-million dollars. There's a lot at stake. Everybody on this board knows you're relying on those millions of dollars in insurance proceeds that you're entitled to, that this community is entitled to, because of CN Region's bad faith and with refusal to pay those funds out. You filed the lawsuit, and everything you do, this is where I get to my experience. I know that they are watching every decision you make, every comment that's made by all of you primarily, but also the folks here in the public. They're watching, they're paying attention, they're gonna use it against you if there's an opportunity. Make this choice wisely and think it through. I don't know why you're doing it the way you are. That's a rhetorical question. I don't expect an answer. You guys do. If there's a legitimate reason, proceed, but my strong recommendation, send out an RFP, get as many qualified candidates for solicitors as you can, vet them thoroughly and appropriately, and make the right choice, because now, more than ever, is a critical time from a legal standpoint. CM Region litigation, you have a collective bargaining agreement that's coming into negotiations in January that could be contentious. You need the right guidance. And you also have the PA coach litigation, which you guys are well aware of. So that's all I have to say. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. John Straw.
First, Jamie, I'd like to thank you for that last week's meeting. That was a tough position to be thrown in, but that was the first board meeting that I left that I wasn't thoroughly disgusted when I walked out the door, so I'd like to thank you for that. But the one thing that kind of always falls through the cracks are where we're at with our teachers. We're pushing between 50 and 60 teachers since 2021. And if you look at the big picture, and I was a custodian for years, once you get, it takes a custodian 3 years to get the top grade of pay. That teacher we hire off the street, it takes them 7 years to get to what I made as a custodian. And in the first couple years, they have to go back to school and get 20, I think it's 20 more credits. So they're spending their money up front to continue their education while they're a teacher. And if you look at our administration, over the past 4 to 5 years, we have people in our administration that has got pushing $50,000 in wages. It takes that same teacher 8 years to get to a wage that we've paid to our administrators just in raises. So the one, I guess it's an option that's on the table. Maybe what they should do is maybe all the teachers should just resign and get hired at a better wage at the same meeting like some of our administrators did. So, but, we always heard, where you have strong. But the one thing that people didn't complete was where you have strong until something better comes along. And we've seen that happen over and over again. So, and the other point I had was for phase 2. There's nobody that wanted to stop phase 2. I think we always said that we agree that we need to consolidate. Where we have a difference of opinion is how we're going about our consolidation and the money that we're spending. We had a member of the community that offered just table the bids and let me look at them. I can save you money. At that meeting, we heard a board member say, we need to push forward. We need those athletic fields because we're competing with Upper St. Clair. We're not competing with Upper St. Clair. If anybody on the board thinks that we're competing with Upper St. Clair, we shouldn't be on the board. We're struggling right now as a community. And the money we're spending on athletics, I've always said it's important, but it shouldn't be a priority. So for us not to want the table a bid so somebody could look at it to save money, we shouldn't be going into negotiations with the teachers and saying we're cash strapped because somebody wanted to show you how to save money and we didn't take up that offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strong. Mr. Paul Beck.
Paul Beck, 201 Winchester Road.
Thanks for taking the time. First, I want to just reach out and thank Mr. Reagan for explaining all the budgetary stuff to me and answering all my stupid questions today. Thanks for taking the time. I think I have to agree with Mr. Heminger with regard to the solicitor decisions.
It seems to me in the supposed new era of transparency, this is the least transparent process that I could possibly imagine within the first months of somebody's new presidency as a floor person. I can't imagine a more terrible scenario. First of all, you let people sit out here for an hour and a half while you have people in the back asking questions that should all be in public. You're not hiring personnel. Both of the agenda items that had solicitors were not even a single person. There was a group of firms. You're hiring a professional service. That doesn't belong in legislative session. It has no point there. It should all be here. All of that should be talked about out here. Everybody here is here to listen to that and had to sit out there for an hour and a half or 2 hours waiting for the board to get done listening to it when we all should have heard it. Every single one of us should have heard it. So I agree that this all should have been put out for RFP. We should have more groups. When you have one group that has legal issues with CM Regent, they have no business being even on the docket. So now you have one person left. Sounds like the same decision-making that left us with one electrical contract. Other question is, why haven't we had 780 hearings yet? Seems to me you should have 780 hearings before plans to adopt phase 2. It's all out of order. It's putting the cart before the horse. For people that don't know, the 780 hearings are required before you close a school. But that's pretty much a done deal. Any hearings that are going to happen to close a school pretty much is done. Even the new president said so at the last meeting. It's a done deal. The schools are going to close. So any hearing, if you think you're going to go to a hearing and have any impact, it's all done. I warned everybody on Facebook when they voted for phase 2, this is over. I was wondering if the prospective solicitors have any specific insight into this process, but they're probably gone. I don't see them here. The other question, is there a breach of financial fiduciary duty on behalf of the school board to plan to build a bigger high school where one is not required, unless there is an active plan in place to close schools that require additional space at the high school? Again, we have put the cart before the horse. If we're going to put new solicitors in place, what is the cost analysis for considering a new solicitor versus the current solicitor? Have we even done one? My guess is no. There are 2 proposed plans, one of which shouldn't even be considered. So we basically have one group that wants to give us a increasing number from $185 to $205 an hour attorney fees and $125 to $145 per hour paralegal fee. How does that even compare with what's being charged by our current solicitor? I'd like to know if anybody's actually looked at the money. The last thing I have to ask is, while we have some general understanding of our cost analysis for current phases, we cannot provide specifics with regard to costs that don't interfere with pending litigation. But that will have to be presented in discovery anyway, so why can't we get a cost analysis? why can't we put everything on the table in our mode of new transparency? It seems like we're missing out. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Mr. Piper?
Me. Eric Piper, 103 Teak Road. I'm going to echo Mr. Beck. I think it's just extremely disrespectful to leave people in for an hour and a half while you guys you advertise a meeting at 6:30. You want the community involved in the school district, and then you make people wait for an hour and a half while you interview candidates. I mean, I'm not trying to be adversarial, but that's a little ridiculous. And I'm not here to tell you whether you should keep your solicitor or not. I don't deal with the solicitor, you guys are the ones that do it. I'm concerned about the way that we're going about doing it. We just had an election that was all about transparency. That was the issue. Everybody complaining that we weren't hearing enough from the school district about what was going on with construction, what was going on with consolidation. And now this is the first thing that we do. We basically let go of our solicitor. Like, who gave you the legal advice to do it? I mean, I know you're not gonna answer that question, but I just have my concern is the way, this is the first thing that we're doing, and we're doing a special session. It should have been an RFP. The last time somebody did this in the state of Pennsylvania, West Shore School District, they were sued for violation of the Sunshine Act, and they were forced to go through that process again. So you should probably look that up before you did it. But it just makes me sad, because I was so encouraged after that last meeting. That meeting was probably the most transparent and organic meeting that I've ever been a part of. And now we go do something like that, and then we take 2 steps back. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Piper. Mr. Martell?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question, or actually I have a point to make about the bill pay this evening. There is a invoice to pay that's to Reliable Pro Plumbing Excavation. That was supposedly done for an emergency up at Central to clear a sewer trap, which I don't have any Central parents in here. They know this has been a problem for quite a while. So I really question the emergency status of this, but really more importantly, how was this contractor selected? Okay, I think that really needs to take a deep dive into, because this contractor, in what I was building involved, was not involved with the selection of this contractor. So $47,000 of taxpayer money over a holiday weekend, which we've known this has been a problem for quite a while, just all of a sudden arbitrarily gets done. So we need to take a look at how that was selected from the prior presidency to a non-township or township employee that's now a member of this board, to figure out how that was selected. But more importantly, I want to know, were the clearances checked for all of our contractors that come in, I assume, on a construction project and all that, correct? I mean, I hope so. Well, I'm gonna go turn this over to Mr. Sadesky, because here's your criminal record of your contractor that was digging your holes up there, okay? Which is interesting for you as the chief to be able not to know this as well. So I think you really need to do some due diligence.
Thank you, Mr. Martell. Mr. Altamar?
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to first start my remarks by congratulating the new elected members to the school board. Conversely, I also want to welcome back those members who were re-elected. Unlike the other folks that have spoken this evening, I really don't have a dog in the fight, division that exists between the school board. I think the next 2 years is going to be a very, very interesting dynamic in terms of how governance happens in this district. However, that being said, I did want to touch upon the comments of some of the other residents, because I think tonight's vote for solicitor is quite unfortunate. I think the process being implemented by the new school board to find a replacement to a solicitor that may or may not have had difficulties and may or not have had transparency issues really doesn't, in my opinion personally, as a resident and also as a candidate for state representative, it really doesn't start this new school board off on a particularly strong footing. Furthermore, specifically to what my question was this evening, I know there's been recent voting action to authorize phase 2 in construction, but I'll turn it over to any member of the school board who would like to answer. Have those contracts been executed, or will tonight's vote for a new solicitor possibly undo that action? Or conversely, will tonight's new solicitor selection alter the process that the district continues down as it relates to phase 2 construction? Thank you for your time. So this, we're put on the record. Is there going to be an answer to that question from anybody?
Or any of the questions?
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rakunas.
No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry. If you could back up a little bit so the camera's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were on camera. I'm not used to.
For the TV, just stand in front of you.
I'm not used to being on this side of the table, as you all know. I think as you guys all sit here tonight, you know there's a problem with this process. You don't have to be a municipal solicitor like myself to know there should be a concern about the way this is being done. This has nothing to do with these candidates, highly qualified individuals that I work with and I respect. So I do not want this to be any mark on them. Likewise, I also want to say this really isn't about any of you. I respect and work with and know all of you, and I respect all of you. And I don't think you're doing anything, I hope you're not doing anything intentional, but you know it's not right, okay? This process for filling the solicitor position, even when I interviewed for it, I think it was 13 years ago, okay, was an open and transparent process. And the way you do this is to submit RFPs. You gather those RFPs from different firms. Those are submitted to all board members, right? You get everybody's all the proposals in. You evaluate those and you trim the list, and then eventually you have the interviews. Now, obviously there are serious concerns about the Sunshine Act and whether you should be doing those in private or whether you do those in public. I am hoping that you got a legal opinion about doing that in private before you did it. I'm hoping that happened because even the explanation as to the reasoning behind Sunshine Act, which you're required to specifically state, was a little confusing to me. It was legal issues involving legal, appointments. I don't know how you phrase it, but it wasn't very specific. So hopefully you got a legal opinion on that because there are issues there as well. So having a meeting on a special night, holding the executive session behind closed doors, letting the public sit out there for 2 hours, coming out without your solicitor here already, so you're determined to do something, I would say, with the votes on the agenda. It just isn't right. And as a taxpayer, I feel compelled to be here this night to say that. In terms of what I would request from you is consider an alternate route, okay? You still have time this evening, because you haven't voted on it yet, to change course. You can certainly put somebody in as an interim. If you have to make a change immediately, okay, and I don't know what your reasoning is for having to knee-jerk and do this as soon as you are. I'm going to have to assume that there is something major that requires it to be done without the normal process. Even if that's true, tonight, you could put somebody in as the interim, then RFP it and go through the process. So you have a new person in there who's filling in, and they're free to submit and be part of that process, and then do the normal transparent process. You have an option. It is exactly the way I got appointed over in Elizabeth Township. I was the interim first. I wasn't just appointed out of the blue. I was put in temporarily as they went through a process. So you have the opportunity to do that tonight. I'm asking you to do that tonight, to consider that. Again, I'm going to echo a lot of what Dr. Beck and some of the other, and Mr. Heminger, have said. I don't want to be here either. I'm not going to speak to anything else, but this is something I know as somebody who does this work. I know how it should be done. And I'm just asking you, I think that particularly some of the new people, and I don't know, other than Megan, I think you were part of the original process, but other than that, I'm not sure that any of you were part of the original process to select Mr. Rushford. So you haven't experienced the full process. So to be having it narrowed down to 2, possibly 1, depending on what's going on with that conflict, I don't know what's going on there, but to possibly have it that narrow is injustice to you all. See what else is out there. There are a lot of firms that do this, and look, you may land on one of these 2. And a credit to them and a credit to the board if that's what you do after the fair and transparent process. I'm just asking you, consider an alternate route. If you have to have somebody different, put in an interim and then go through the normal process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lieutenant. Renee
Shibby.
This is my first reading. And the the new members were voted in. And we were discussing the repurposing of the other schools that would be closing and what we could do. And I had just come up with an idea, and I thought I'd just voice it tonight. That we should take a look at repurposing them as vocational schools. Children wouldn't have to go out to Still Valley. There's also schools that are starting where they charge tuition for young adults from 18 to 25 that want to go into plumbing, electrical, things like that. It gives them good revenue for these schools, so the taxpayers carrying the burden. My mortgage already went up. And so, think of some ideas or, things like that I thought I'd throw out there. Also, Turning Point, that's a big thing right now, bringing into the school districts. A lot of schools and communities are bringing Turning Point, and things for our youth that would be, beneficial, I believe. But just some ideas, so I just wanna thank you for your time. Hope you, good luck.
So now that we have heard, and since there were several, comments about the solicitor's position, what I will say to the audience is the process, although it is quick, every board member was contacted and talked to when a few things have arisen over the last 2 weeks. Every board member sitting here was in favor of a solicitor change. Certain other things happened that I am unable to discuss in public comment. I met with my superintendent, I met with my financial officer. These names came up with. The two firms that sit in this room are part of the best lawyers in the region. Those lawyers were reached out to and contacted to see if they were interested in coming to be part of the best thing that's gonna go on in this district from here forward. They accepted those to come in here and talk to us. They were talked to. We did receive their proposals. We do have their numbers. And their numbers are very in line with the current financials that we have with our solicitors from past. A conversation was had with Mr. Rushford. That conversation was with Mr. Cummings, myself, and my superintendent. It was a pleasant conversation. It was a good conversation, and it came to a good end. He was aware. This board is also aware of the legal things that are on our plate that have arose. These are the things that are being called into question that both Mr. Rakunas and Mr. Hemiger, as solicitors, know that we cannot discuss in front of you. This board was unanimous in wanting to move for a new solicitor.
If I may make a comment, Mr.
Go
Evans.
ahead, Mr. Henry.
I'm in approval of. I think he served the district well. I think it's, I think he's done a good job. I do want this board to consider a motion and table this to January because I believe it's in our best interest. I'm not looking for I think we did meet for 2 hours with these very capable, impressive law firms. Both of them have extremely good credentials. And we just got their proposals yesterday. And, I'll speak from my own personal experience. I mean, I got a full-time job. I got these proposals last night after spending a whole day in the office, reading through them. They were all very well done, but I still am not, now I have the question of who to go with, because I thought they were both very impressive. And to make that decision tonight is very unfair. And if that's where we have to go and make a decision, of course I'll live in the minority here, but I don't disagree about the RFP. I think that Mr. Rushford's not putting us any serious legal danger by waiting till January. I stated this earlier this evening. And again, Jamie, when you called me about this, I agree that Mr. Rushford's time serving the districts, he's done a great job, and I like John a lot, he's a great person. And he served the district well, but I do think it would be advantageous for us just to kind of sleep on this. That's my thing. The only other thing I'll say is, you know, certain people coming into this community question the criminality of certain things should be very careful about the criminality and the accusations that they made against our former board president. Certain people come in this district and write letters to the editor and have for some, you can smirk, but it's the truth. The bottom line is, Mr. Sharkey has never had a district attorney look into his past. Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm not gonna sit here and have you question the criminality of this
You
board.
vote for your sister's firm too. So
My sister's firm, explain that.
Yeah, we'll explain that later.
You're referring to Mulberry Public Relations.
Sorry.
No, I wanna address
Both,
it.
just keep it at a level.
Who's my sister?
President.
Who's my
Oh.
sister? I have one sister, her name's Patricia Kazarian. Are you suggesting that my sister works at Mulberry Public Relations? A woman by the last name Henry, which is as common as Smith? No relation, Phil. Do your homework.
So I'd like to make a comment and kind of reel things back a little bit here to this, speaking of the solicitor. I've been on this board for 9 years, and all 9 years I have been, I had the privilege of sitting with I do believe that, you know, we've been given information. I have done my research. I have, you know, gone through a certain unsurmountable amount of data trying to figure out who is the best choice here. I do appreciate both MDM and WBK showing up because they, you know, they are very top firms here. However, if anybody, you know, knows me as well as, you know, I hope they do, I like to digest things and kind of think things through. Unfortunately, you know, I do support a change in solicitation. However, with the information tonight and the information I've learned tonight, I do fall in the same category as Mr. Henry with cabling. I think it's important to understand the decision that's being made. You know, I think that it's important that, you know, we take the right steps moving forward with this school district. I do believe that we do have the best intentions in mind, and we want to make sure that we are transparent, that we are operating in the correct manner, and we are doing the right thing for this school district. This is our school district, all of our school districts. You know, I typically don't speak, but, you know, this is important to me. And I do apologize for you all sitting for 2 hours. I mean, we all do. We didn't have any intention for it to be as long as it was. You know, it did because we were asking very serious, pointed questions to both of them to ensure that we would pick the right people. However, I would support the idea of tabling this, at least for the time being. If we decide to open up to an RFP, that's fine too. And the only reason I suggest that is because of the potential conflict with one, with our insurance company. But I truly feel that that is the best decision moving forward, in my opinion. That's what I feel.
I agree with Mr. Henry, I agree with Mr. Cummings. I was on this board when we hired Mr. Rushford. We did it with an RFP, we did it with a public meeting, that everybody was permitted to see the interview process. I believe that's the best way to do this.
Okay, first and foremost, new business, item 4.1, approve the October 2025 financial reports.
Treasurer's report, October 2025, beginning balance $852,425.57. Total cash receipts $5,565,358.64. Total disbursements $6,056,173.78, with an ending balance of $361,610.43.
Have a motion to accept the October 2025 financial reports? Motion by Mr. Sharkey. Second by Mr. Cummings. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Item 4.2, approve the November, December 2025 check register. Need a motion?
Discussion,
What motion? Oh, sorry. Motion by Mr. Sharkey, second by Ms. Ferraro. Any discussion?
discussion.
Go ahead.
Mr. Reagan, I am interested to understand a little bit more about what is the, the exact details around this emergent construction work. I was aware of some issues that were not, done the way that I would have appreciated them to be done, but I'm not understanding the level of detail that, that's being brought to light tonight. I would like to, aside from anybody here, me personally, would like to know how that, vendor was selected, why they were chosen to do that work during that time frame. I think it's important for us to understand that.
So probably going back to October during the color run, I personally was made aware of the smell that was going on up at the central school. We had a company come in, just clean, they cleaned it out, emptied the tank, the odor came back. November 14th, and it came back and forth amongst that time. I mean, I was up and down there probably 10 times in a 2-month period because of the smell. November 14th, it got really bad. I went up there. In fact, there were people that called me up and they laughed when I walked across the parking lot because it was so bad and it hit me. It was unbelievable. It was in the building, it was in the principal's office, it was going upstairs, and at that point, I said, man, we gotta get this thing taken care of. So I went up there, I was actually in between the executive meeting. Can't remember if it was in between the meeting itself or between the two meetings of the last board meeting to look at, where can we possibly relocate things, what can we do to fix this? And I came back to the meeting and I told the board that we have to get this done. It can't wait. There were things on Facebook where people were wanting to take their kids out of school. There were people taking kids out of school. They were talking about closing the school for a period of time. Kids got excused. It got to the point where this was just too bad. So at that point, that was right before Thanksgiving. Well, at that point, I told the board, we're gonna have to fix this. It'll most likely have to be an emergency process. Nobody said anything. I actually expected a question or two, but there were none. But just to kind of make sure I was okay with that, because again, I'm a community member here, pay taxes, I don't wanna do anything wrong. I went and made sure that our solicitor at the time, John Rushford, was okay with it and agreed with it. So I talked to him verbally and he said yes. That was at the point where I knew it needed to be done. I can't answer how the contractor was picked. I didn't do that, but it absolutely needed to be done, and it needed to be done that weekend because that was the time frame where there were like 4 or 5 days, or 3 or 4 days that it could be taken care of. It was actually inspected by the county on Saturday. They got a county inspector out here to get it done, so the job was completed.
Who picked them? Our director of building and grounds?
I don't know exactly who picked them, but I don't know I don't even know if Zach was involved with it.
So who was involved?
Why wasn't he involved? Isn't he head of our maintenance?
He is.
And why was he not brought into this at any point in time?
He was brought into it. He was up there with Just Clean. He was up there when A1, I think it was A1 that came in. They were actually looking to put plastic seals on top of the existing manholes. That didn't work. So he was part of it.
So who did pick the contractor? Nobody picked them?
Somebody had to.
Somebody had to.
I'd like to know who said it was an emergency too.
I mean, I said that I think it had to be done under an emergency situation.
Did you call it an emergency?
I did.
All right, we have a teacher. Would you like to stand up? Was it an emergency? Did you smell this going through the school? Please stand up.
Is it travel? I mean,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
not,
you can't do that.
If a decision has been made that it was an emergency by our financial director, I support that, and that's fine. And the reason why I'm asking questions is not for interrogation reason. I'm trying to understand a little bit better because I have done my own research as well. I think the answer that I'm looking for and the rest of us are looking for is that's what I'm after.
I'm not sure who recommended, but, Ken got the contractor involved.
Ken who?
Yeah, I believe the contractor was recommended through our Just Clean representative that cleaned out the grease trap twice.
Wait a minute, when was this done? Thanksgiving? He wasn't a board member.
That's what I'm saying, I didn't get the contractor. I'm just saying that.
You're the only one that they put on. So
I understand. I'm just saying that I know for a fact that we had, the septic tank vendor up there twice.
So the septic tank vendor picked the contractor?
Sounds like it.
I believe that
I think it was recommended by him, but I don't know. I
know we called, the day of the incident, we called the township plumber, and they said the job was too big, they weren't able to do it.
I'm sorry, is this the excavator or the plumber?
The person that did it was both an excavator, he had a plumber. I know the guy that was, I don't know personally.
Because I think the plumber subs the excavator.
Yeah, this is like
Typically.
Yeah, I think it was the other way around. Because whoever did the plumbing actually did a lot of work for the Pittsburgh Sanitary, I believe. They were two guys, they both seemed like they knew what they were doing. I never met them a day in my life before I went up there Friday. I spent my whole Thanksgiving weekend up there kind of trying to pay attention to what's going on.
So I think if we exclude this check from the bill list until we have additional information.
The only thing I don't think's right about that is the guy did the work. The work's done.
You're gonna end up owing more money if you withhold the bill. Is there a problem with the work? Was the work done quality and was he asked to do it? Contractually, you're gonna owe that money.
Was he asked to do it?
Well, I mean, if he did it, I assume he did, and if he didn't, then I don't. That doesn't make any sense to me. If he did it, even if there wasn't a contract, he'd be entitled to his quantum merit. Would he be entitled to the value of the work that he did? So the question really isn't.
Solicitor to do that, Matt. You're not their solicitor.
I understand, but if they don't pay the bill, here's my point. If you don't pay the bill, here's what I would say. If you don't pay the bill, you run the risk that you pay more because he might get charged a late fee or whatever else. That's the risk involved. So I'm just saying, if the contract's valid, that's my only point.
I understand public comment's been suspended, but I would just say I do educational staffing, and for the district that I work in, it's incredible. I have never heard of an outside vendor or contractor being brought in under the guise of whether it's normal business or emergency business to do work, and there is not an established procedure of who contacted them, who gave them the okay, where their clearances ran, who authorized the payment. That's very, very suspect to me.
There's no emergency plan.
It's
They have no
become
emergency
procedure.
plan.
Called
That's
an
emergency.
emergency.
They don't have. The last time I asked about
Ladies
the
and
emergency
gentlemen,
plan.
I'm gonna say it again, these types of reasons and these types of things that have transpired are small portions of why this move is being made tonight. So, I just want you to consider that.
I'm sorry, I just want to ask something before we go on. Who called it an emergency to be fixed? Who actually said it was an emergency? I'm asking for the public.
What I said, and you guys were all sitting here, I said, I think this is gonna have to be done under an emergency.
So they can
Period.
suspend the
You
rules.
called it an emergency.
Mr. Reagan,
You were, I think, were you at the meeting?
Mr. Me and Ken weren't even sitting.
Okay, maybe it was before. I'm
This was
sorry.
before you guys were sworn in.
We have no idea about it, we're just hearing about it now.
I hear
Me
you,
and Ken.
I'm not disputing that. I'm saying-
That's my only question.
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
just
no
saying,
problem with anything else. I have a problem
Okay, that's
with
fair,
anything.
that's fair,
Mr.
that's
Reagan.
fine.
I'm thinking, over a holiday weekend, did we pay more money to get this fixed?
Yes.
Okay, so we're paying holiday rate
Got
for
no
contract.
leadership.
Okay.
Mr. Reagan, so at what point in the process
He should be fired.
would a question have been called if you hadn't picked the contractor, or Mr. Connick hadn't picked the contractor, or, I'm sorry, if he was Mr. President, Mr. Sharkey had picked the contractor for the emergent situation, did we call question to that?
I honestly don't know how the contractor was picked. I honestly don't know how the contractor was picked.
God.
But it was being done on Friday. I was made aware of that because I saw the manholes being dropped off right before Thanksgiving. I then said, you know what, I need to pay attention to what the hell's going on here because I wanna watch the process. I wanna watch it. So I gave up my whole Thanksgiving weekend standing up there watching what was going on.
So would the answers lie with Zach?
Pardon me?
Would the answers lie with our facilities director? I'd like for him to answer the questions on that, he's our facilities
I
director.
think the right thing to do at this point is, unfortunately, if there's late fee associated with it, we should table that. I'm not- Everything else on it, I'm fine with it.
What happens if the contractor
There is
building?
provide more information.
You don't have to write the contractor.
So I know because.
Well, I mean, I want to understand how the process is, why is it there? The contractor telling me there, because we put them there, I want them to answer that question. Unless Mr. Ryan has more information.
How do we know that they told us what we agreed?
I never saw a proposal.
So that's the issue, so how can we approve an invoice if we don't know what we were supposed to be billed?
I would have expected that I would have known who the
Where's the
contractor was
contract?
and what the amount was. That's what I would have expected.
Again, I know public comment's been suspended, but I think in addition to maybe having an executive session about the district's future with a solicitor, there might need to be an executive session having a water mill hearing for maybe administrative malfeasance, because it seems to me like someone authorized spending on behalf of the school district, and most of the members of this school board were not part of that conversation whatsoever.
I think we should start with gathering information first.
Yeah.
And then go from there. I appreciate your comment. That said, I would like to see that one held back. Everything else, I'm comfortable with moving forward.
I actually have a question. Who is ARC Ultra Consulting?
Agriculture Consulting is the consulting that looks at our HVAC at the high school, and they're working with the phase 2 as well.
So, do we have an agreement with them?
He came in and presented to us, I believe there's an agreement.
I could not find an agreement. So, we need an HVAC consultant in addition to our HVAC contractor and our director of works and so forth.
That was what's, he's the one who came in and met with us and presented to us a long time ago.
Is that a redundancy in services?
We don't have an agreement with him now.
I had to look at board docs.
I did look at the forecast and I didn't do it. Okay. I'm against that one.
And I was under the impression, actually, when I referred to Mr. Sharkey, that we had an agreement with him several, years ago back when we were doing the high school.
Isn't that the truth?
So that agreement would be plus.
Well, I looked through all of them.
Okay, then we'll have to find out the oversight.
So for now, I'm against that one.
That's the HVAC proposal for this building?
No, it's a consultant.
It's a consulting.
For
phase 2.
You're paying that plumber anyway. I don't know why you're paying so much for it. The contractor didn't do anything wrong. He got a call from somebody and showed up and did the works. And they're not gonna pay it.
Want to pull out 2 items?
I mean,
Keep the invoice number for that and the invoice number for.
I'll be able to pull them.
Okay, we have a first. I gotta take the item as it is presented. Approval of the November and December check register. Motion was by Mr. Sharkey. Second was by Ms. Ferraro. Discussion has been held. Mr. Henry, will you do a roll call vote?
So the question is are we removing,
We are taking the item as presented.
taking the item as presented?
Why can't you table it?
So in other words, we're not moving, changing.
I don't have a table motion from a board member.
We can move forward the bill list with the exception
Of those two.
of certain items.
So do we have to make a motion for that? Is the question.
If you have a motion and second, you can withdraw the motion. Or if you want to make a motion to approve the bills, except for the other two bills, you can make that motion as a separate motion. And then you can vote on that. I suggest that you pay it as is, because the contractor didn't do anything wrong. Your process might be messed up. You should pay the contractor and get your process in order. That's my recommendation, but you can make a motion separately to pay it without those two.
I make a motion to accept the check register minus the two.
To vote on the first one first.
Yeah, they do.
You have to vote on the first one.
Unless you withdraw it.
Oh, okay. I make a motion to table 4.2.
Withdraw the first motion, please.
I know.
We're
He has
voting on the item as is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as is first.
Roll call.
All right. Mr. Ballin.
No.
Mr. Cummings.
No.
Director Ferraro.
No.
Director Henry, no. Director Honick.
No.
Director Novosek.
No.
Director Sharkey.
No.
Director Stouffer.
Nope.
Director Evans.
Nope.
Motion passes 9-0.
No, fails.
Fails now.
Motion fails 9-0.
I would like to make a motion to approve the November and December 2025 check registry, accepting the charge for the grease trap and Ms. Ferraro's.
If there was an agreement with ARC and you're all attesting to that, then I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, then just the motion is for November to December 2025 check registry, except for the excavation. Okay, motion on the floor
To accept the November, December check registry minus the check and bill pay for the excavation and plumbing work at Central Elementary School. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Cummings, second was Mr. Sharkey. Do we have further discussion on that item? Mr. Henry, roll call vote.
Director Ballin.
Yes.
Director Cummings.
Yes.
Director Ferraro. Yes. Director Henry, yes. Director Honick.
Yes.
Director Novosek.
Yes.
Director Sharkey.
Yes.
Director Stouffer.
Yes.
President Evans.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you, Mr. Item 4.3. Need a motion on the floor for solicitors, as presented by both firms. Do we have any nominations?
I'll nominate the MBM.
Mr. Novosek nominates MBM. Mr. Honick?
WBK.
Mr. Honick nominates WBK.
I thought we were tabling.
I would like to make a motion to table this.
Okay, there we go.
I thought you tabled it.
Okay. Motion is on the floor. Who made you made the motion? Okay, what are the terms of your motion? How long?
Until agreed upon time from the majority of the board to have additional time to understand the information provided us tonight and the discussion on if RFPs need to be put in place for additional vendors for solicitation. A time frame on it, I mean, I think that between now and I believe the 21st, which is the voting meeting of January, should be ample time.
I think we could make a motion, we could vote in the committee of the whole if we wanted to.
It's up to everybody else.
Your motion to table has the time frame to conduct business on this item in the January committee of the whole and vote on it. Second, please, Mr. Sharkey. Do we have any further discussion on the table?
I do want to make a couple of comments.
this, again, just to reiterate again, both of these law firms are superb law firms, and I would be privileged to have either one of them here. I need more time to digest this information. I need more time to understand our insurance agent with one of the law firms, just so that I understand this more. And I do think that if, we have the ability for additional RFP between now and then, it should be an avenue worth pursuing. Anything else?
All right, motion to table as stated until the January 14th
You said
committee of the whole meeting.
Yeah.
It can be done on the 21st, or we can have time to vote on the 21st, or the 14th, I'm sorry.
We do an RFP.
It's, we're at roll call vote.
Okay. Mr. Ballard.
Table? Yes.
To table.
Director Cummings.
Yes.
Director Ferraro.
Yes.
Director Harnett.
Yes.
Director Henry, yes. Director Novosek.
Yes.
Director Sharkey.
Yep.
Director Stoker.
Yes.
No.
President Evans.
No.
8-1, motion passes.
Yeah.
Let's do an RFP.
Item 4.4.
Amend the agenda, add RFP. Yeah.
That- The whole item is tabled.
Yeah.
You have to have a motion for RFPs?
Yeah.
Amend the agenda, add an RFP.
Is the right policy.
The motion was
Motion for
to
adjournment?
investigate.
Ah.
Well, if you guys adjourn, is Mr. Rushford still solicitor, or is he been
Yes.
terminated? Who's gonna be solicitor for the
Mr.
next month?
Rushford is still solicitor. He was discussed with in phone conversation that if something would transpire or someone was not elected, for appointment tonight, then
You would continue to operate in the same capacity.
I got what you said already, so.
How could you trust him?
Definitely give me a call then.
Wait,
I got a lot to
Motion for RFP.
yes.
Okay, I make a motion to take it to RFP.
You don't need a motion.
You should, they can do a motion to issue RFP.
They can?
You have to amend the agenda
Okay.
first,
Yep.
vote on amending the agenda, then you have to make the motion.
That's right.
to amend the RFP.
Agreed.
And then you'd have to repost your minutes and your agenda with the updated amended minutes.
motion to amend the agenda. Motion by Mr. Sharkey, second by Mr. Cummings. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any against? One? No?
No, we can just issue an RFP without amending the agenda.
You're not gonna bill us over there, are you?
Motion to request RFP.
They won't have we don't have library.
Motion by Mr. Sharkey, second by Mr. Cummings. All those in favor? Aye. Against?
No.
Motion for adjournment.
Second.